And welcome to Asher Flow. I'm just getting things set up right now. Okay. Everything on my end seems to be ready, so why don't we get right back into AI Somnium files? I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember exactly where I left off. Let's see, day 3 Sunday, and I'm driving. Can't argue with the Sunday driving stream, so let's get going. Hello, Faye. Thank you for the follow. Hi, how's your day going? And is Faye alright with you, or would you like me to call you something else? Oh, I'm in this part. It's been too long since I played, I don't remember. Ooh, roar like a lion.
Ah! Impossible. How did a jellyfish get in here? So shiny, too.
She is rather shiny.
It's me.
Renju?
Do I look like Renju?
Mizuki?
It's me.
Boss?
Date, seriously.
What?
Are you... Mom?
Idiot. They must have increased your dosage too much.
My dosage? Anyway, you're Aiba, right? Why are you here? Looking like that?
I just
That's
thought I would
a good
protect
question.
myself. You seem lonely.
How are you doing this?
I am overlaying the image your left eye processes with augmented reality.
I had no idea that she could do this outside of my dream sequences. That's very interesting and probably not the best thing ever for me. Oh yeah, Faye, what have you been up to today? Anything fun?
You can't see me through your right eye, only your left.
You can't just pop into my eyeball without permission.
She is your eyeball.
You do realize I do that all the time, right?
Ah. Well, I hope that your classes weren't too bad. Let's see. Momo. Wait, So and Moma are suspicious. Oh, So's a name. I was very confused by that.
As I said earlier, I completely agree that they are suspicious. But there is nothing currently linking them to the case.
That's true. We have no established motive. Victims were displayed, tied up on a horse, hung from the ceiling, and their left eyes taken out. We still don't know why.
It is possible that Shoko and Renju were disloyal to Congressman Tsujima and the Kumakuras. They could have been killed and displayed as a warning.
That's a hell of a warning.
Evidence.
Huh, maybe. But it doesn't feel right.
Oh yeah, Faye, if you don't mind me asking, what are you studying? Let's see. And the appearance isn't that interesting because she looks like that in the dream world anyway. How is So related to the Kamakuras?
I looked into that. Unfortunately, I did not find anything in our database that could connect the two.
I see.
However, I did discover some rumors on the internet. Most of them come across as gossip or conspiracy theories, but would you like to hear them regardless?
Obviously, yes.
Please.
Mr. Sajima currently resides in Azabu. He lives in a mansion, a restored samurai castle. But 20 years ago, So Sajima lived elsewhere. In the Kabusaki district, to be exact. He lived there until he was 40 years old. The Sajima family owned a vast amount of real estate in the district.
Well, that's not great
Just
considering
in
it's
the land was valued above 30 billion yen.
worthless.
The Sajima family sold off its holdings. 6 months later, the incident occurred.
The explosion
that
of the
interesting?
chemical plant.
This caused Kabusaki to become a restricted area. And of course, land prices fell drastically to less than 1/30th their original value. What are your thoughts?
The timing is certainly suspicious. To sell that amount of land just 6 months before it happened.
There is another interesting fact.
Oh,
After
and
the
that is?
accident, So Sajima purchased all of the land back for just 1 billion yen.
Wasn't
So he's
that
got
interesting?
29 billion yen in his pocket and 1 billion yen of land.
Correct. Despite the horrific accident, the Sajima family is no worse off.
They're better off.
True. But I don't see the point of it. It's not like you got anything out of it.
That would be true, but there is more to this story. There is another important fact. After the land prices in the Kabusaki region crashed,
Oh, time for a phone
we'll
call.
have to continue this conversation later. I'm
Who's
receiving
calling?
a call from headquarters.
It's Boss.
Is this Special Agent Date from Abyss?
It's not
My
Boss.
name is Akaska, from HQ. I'm investigating the Shoko Nadami case. There's something that you need to hear.
What is it?
We got a phone call earlier from a prisoner at Fuchu Prison.
A prisoner?
We saved the call. I think you should give it a listen.
Gladly.
Who is this?
In here, I'm known as number 89.
What is this call concerning?
I know who killed Shoko Nadami. And if you let me out of here, I will tell you who it is. I suppose you might say I'm looking for a plea bargain. He will kill again, you know. And he'll take their eye while they're still alive. There will be more bodies. If you want to stop this serial killer, I suggest you take my offer. I'll be seeing you.
Not if we take your eyes.
This
You
has
won't
to
be
a
seeing us
prank.
then.
That's what I thought too. However, we got the call yesterday afternoon, before Renju was killed. In other words,
You're saying he predicted the second crime?
yeah, I think he did. That's why I thought I should contact you.
Good idea. Thanks, Detective.
Good luck.
Do you think there's anything to this?
Probably not, but worth checking in
know.
on. Oh yeah, I was coming here to look for the little boy, I think. Yeah, because I just went to the mob headquarters or whatever. And there he is.
Date.
What's wrong? You look like you have a lot on your mind.
Yeah. I just found out online. The corpse at Bloom Park. That was Renju's ex-wife, wasn't it?
Really?
Yeah,
You didn't
It
know?
was.
So that was Mizuki's mom.
Yep.
Mizuki saw her own mom.
And you abandoned her there.
I just left her.
Yes, you did.
But I didn't know. I knew her as Shoko Nadami. Her last name is different. I didn't
Either
know that
way,
was
you left her
Mizuki's
there.
mother. I want to apologize to her. I need to tell her that I'm sorry.
Have fun with that one. I'm not gonna help you. What's up, receptionist? Not gonna call you cute. Not gonna thank you for the call. Not gonna ask you out. Where is Iris?
She's recording a podcast right now. Looking at her schedule, it should end soon.
Cool, I'm not interested in anything else that you have. About Mitsuki.
Mizuki didn't seem like she was angry with you.
What? You met Mizuki? Oh, at the interrogation.
That's right. He doesn't know I live with Mizuki. I have no reason to hide it, but it's sort of hard to explain. Yeah, I spoke to Mizuki at her, questioning earlier.
You're sick, Date.
What?
Questioning? That sounds dirty.
How the hell does that sound dirty?
If I were writing a light novel, that's exactly how I would describe a sexy scene.
What kind of novels are you writing, kid?
Terrible ones. Wow. You know what, kid? Where have you been hiding?
Nowhere. Just doing my normal routine.
I don't
That's
know
somewhere.
your normal routine.
I went to a doujin store to look at the new releases. Then I ate some ramen at Jiro's, and then headed over to the PC cafe to browse threads. You know, normal.
If that's normal, I haven't had a normal day in my life.
Honestly, sounds like a nice day to me. So, about Renju's case.
I don't know anything. I've only seen Renju a couple of times.
I didn't think it was possible to be this bad at lying.
Though it is plainly obvious, I did a thermal check on Ota's body. This is his current body temperature.
That's what I
What-
thought.
What does that tell me?
Have you forgotten, Ota? You're my thrall. You don't want me to tell Iris your secret, do you?
Huh?
Wait, it's no big deal. I just...
You better start talking.
Okay.
Yeah, talking's a good idea. I have to select them again. About Renju's case. It would be best if you start talking now, before we have to do other things.
Last night, I was walking over to Sunfish Pocket, and I saw Renju come out of the building.
Was he alone? Someone was with him.
Okay, what
Man.
does thermal give me? Do
No.
people heat up and cool
Ooh.
down when they're lying? Oh. I don't need thermal.
Okay, look. I can tell you're trying to protect her, but you have to help me out here. Was it Iris?
No, it definitely for sure wasn't Tessa.
Got it. So Renju was with Iris.
Wow. This kid
Okay,
sucks.
fine. There's no point in hiding it, I guess. You're right. Renju came out of the building with Tessa. Tessa has nothing to do with this. She wouldn't hurt
Wait.
anyone. She wouldn't hurt a fly. She's an idol. Idols don't kill people.
You need to stop putting
Nah,
her
it
on a
doesn't matter.
pedestal.
Tessa is a savior to me. The Tessa I know wouldn't hurt anyone.
Well, same as she doesn't know the real you weird-ass stalker kid. You don't know the real her. That's kinda how things work. So, a savior.
The first time I met her, I had a bad case of writer's block. And I saw all this awful negativity online and I
Decided
lost
to
sight of
start
what I really
spewing
wanted
it
to
at
write.
her?
And it was the lowest point of my life.
No,
He's
kid,
talking
you
like
got
a
lower.
professional, though he hasn't published anything.
Yeah.
Then, by pure chance, I found a video of Tessa singing and dancing. And it made me realize something important. You don't have to care what people think, you know? If you do your best at what you believe in, your message will get through to people. That attitude is something all great creators need to have. After that, I became a huge ACET fan and got over my writer's block. And I know I'm not the only one Tessa has inspired.
I feel bad for Tessa.
A lot of otaku like me say that Tessa is their savior. She cheers them up when they're down. So there's no way Tessa can be involved in murder. Absolutely impossible.
Sorry, I got a bit distracted ripping a band-aid off of my arm. That hurt. I got a flu shot today. Okay, back to you, kid. Why do you have an owl belt buckle? Slow down, don't say... I didn't say that Iris was the murderer. I just wanted to ask her about stuff, and you first.
But do you suspect her?
No. I need to hear her side of the story. If I do, I might find out she's totally innocent. If you
find out
truly
that she
believe
did
she
it,
didn't
but,
do it, you should tell me everything you know.
But...
Do it for Iris.
By the way, kids, never talk to the police. It does not do you good. Okay, there are times when you should talk to them, but usually doesn't do you any good. Let's see, what time did they leave the building, kid?
Around 6:15, I guess.
Where did they go?
I didn't see. They got into Renju's car and drove off.
And what did you do?
I went inside Sunfish Pocket, but I saw a sign that said the entire club was reserved. I figured I would just go home.
Huh. Well...
What happened?
He looks like he just saw... Oh. Yep, that explains it.
Date.
Iris, there's something I need to ask you. Come with
Did you
me.
murder your boss?
Hmm?
It's okay, I understand if you did. We just need to know. Imagine getting interviewed because they think that you're murdered, that you murdered someone, and your interviewer is that hot.
Iris, I'm going to ask you some questions. Please
Seriously,
answer honestly.
Date has no
However,
right to be
you
that
do not
hot.
have to say anything that might incriminate you.
The right to remain silent? You're treating me like a criminal.
Not exactly. I'm just looking for the truth, and I would appreciate your cooperation.
Let's see. Is Oda's story true? Do you have an alibi for last night? Where did you find Renju was killed? Oh wait, when did you find out Renju was killed? You used to work at Sunfish Pocket, right? I am having trouble talking today for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. Oh well. So is Oda telling the truth?
Here's what Oda told me. Yesterday around 6:15 p.m., you and Renju came out of the Sunfish Pocket building. Is that true?
Yes? Mr. Okiura called me and told me he wanted me to come to Sunfish Pocket, ASAP.
Around what time was that?
5 p.m., I think. I got ready, then headed over there. I guess I got there about an hour later.
Date, I checked her call history. At 4:58 p.m., there is a record of a call to Iris from Renju's phone.
So that adds up. What were you doing with them?
What were you doing with Renju?
He asked me about a job.
What kind of job?
He rented out Sunfish Pocket for a party and he wanted me to MC. He said
That
that
must
it was
have
an
been a hell of a
important
party.
that a lot of big shots were gonna be there. But the girl he asked to do it originally got sick and couldn't come. But I
Aww,
turned him down.
Why?
probably for the
Because
best.
I'm just an internet idol. I've never done any MCing before. Especially with important people being there.
That makes it all the more likely that you'll get noticed. Granted, I doubt that important people care about you, so What did you do after you turned them down?
What did you do after you turned him down?
I left with Mr. Okiura. At 6:15 p.m. That must have been when Ota saw me.
And after that?
asked Mr. Okiura to take me home in his car. I got home at 7 p.m. I was home the rest of the night.
What do you think, Aiba?
I cannot detect any contradictions. However, her story appears almost too organized. Human memory is ambiguous. Her use of exact times leads me to be suspicious.
Honestly, I was just wondering about that. Okay. Alibi's kind of accusing her. When did you find out they was killed? Used to work at Sunfish Pocket, right?
I heard you used to work at Sunfish Pocket.
That's right.
How long?
A little over a year.
Working there that long, you're probably pretty familiar with the equipment.
Yeah, I guess.
About that surveillance camera. Why wasn't it hooked up to anything? If I had to take a wild guess, I would say since it was rented out for that party, important people wouldn't want surveillance cameras pointed at them during their party. That just kinda adds up to me.
What about the surveillance camera? Do you know where those tapes were stored?
What are you trying to say?
When did you find out they was killed?
When did you find out Renju was killed?
This morning, on the news.
And you were with Renju last night? You didn't think to call the police and inform them of this?
Oh, sorry. Is that something you're supposed to do? I had a podcast to record this morning, so if I went to the police, I'd be late. And that would cause everyone a lot of trouble, you know?
That's a, very weird answer. You got an alibi?
What were you doing from 7 to 9 last night?
I was at home the whole time.
You're sure?
Yes.
Aiba, thermograph.
There is no noticeable rise in Iris's body temperature.
She isn't lying.
Not necessarily. We must consider the possibility that she is a natural liar.
With that kind of confidence, her temperature wouldn't change.
Correct.
Renju's estimated time of death was 8 p.m. last night. If Iris' story is true, she couldn't have done it.
There is another possibility. Even if Iris was at home, she could have killed Renju.
How?
You mean...
Assassin? Can I ask your mother about your alibi?
I'll ask again. You are sure you were at home around 8 p.m. yesterday?
Yes.
Can I ask your mother about your alibi?
You can, but there'd be no point.
Why is that?
My mom wasn't home. She came back home early this morning.
This morning?
Yeah.
Where was she?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Huh.
Come to think of it, Iris' mom had connections to Renju too.
That's weird.
Hitomi did mention that yesterday.
That
Renju
is
was my
very
classmate at Eitoku High. We've known each other for 20 years now.
Huh.
However, we have nothing to link her to the case.
But I am curious. What was Hitomi doing last night?
Hopefully not Renju.
Am I a suspect?
Yes.
It's not like that.
It's fine, Date. It's true that I met with Mr. Okiura yesterday, but how do I put this? It's impossible that I'm the killer.
Yeah, not impossible.
I'm a teenage girl.
They
Mr.
do that.
Okiura is a fully grown man.
Oh, she's got a point.
No,
A
she
girl
doesn't.
like her could have stabbed, poisoned, or shot him dead, but strangling?
No, it's still possible. You see,
Easily. Oh, this is new. This is completely new. I've never seen it. Sedation. Look,
The
what...
autopsy discovered a high concentration of benzodiazepine in Renju's body. This drug is commonly used as a sedative. It is likely that Renju was in a state of compromised consciousness before his death.
That is rather odd. But yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I would say. I also want to know about the elevator record, because it's just weird. Okay. First, sedation. Oh. I keep on getting A and X mixed up. Take
A
that.
heavy concentration of sedatives were discovered in Renju's body. Renju was practically in a coma before he died. He wouldn't have struggled.
So, Iris could have strangled him.
Wait a minute. Even if I was somehow able to kill him, the rest of it is impossible.
The
How
rest of
so?
it?
Like hanging up his body?
How do you know
Oh no,
that?
that's easy enough.
What do you mean? It's all over the news.
That's true. Renju weighed about 160 pounds.
That's not true.
Even if she used her entire body weight, I don't think she could have hauled him up.
You can haul
Right.
him up one bit at a
It would
time.
be hard for her to do it with her strength alone. But with a little ingenuity, it could be done.
Bingo.
Ingenuity?
Dude was just barely hanging up there. Wouldn't have been enough to kill him if he was awake and conscious. Not so much his weight. More of how he was hung up. Oil drum isn't right. That's not what I'm looking for. I want the kegs.
Renju's corpse was discovered at the maid cafe Sunfish Pocket, hanging from a beam on the ceiling by a wire. He was
Yes.
found over the counter.
But that wire was
The
connected
wire
to
was
3
attached
wires.
on both ends. One end was attached to a hook that was embedded inside Renju's jaw. The other end was attached to beer kegs found on the floor. The kegs hold approximately 20 liters of liquid. They weigh approximately 55 pounds each.
Bet they didn't have to be full to start with. To do this, you could have his body laying on the floor, hook him, swing the kegs over the joist, or do the opposite of that if you wanted to, and then fill them. And you'd get him hanging. Not terribly difficult to do. And I'm guessing what I need to show.
It went like this. First, Renju was laid out on the counter.
Yo.
Next, the wire was thrown over the beam and connected to the hook in his jaw.
Yep.
Then all you need to do is put the 3 beer kegs on the counter.
You think a teenage
Eh.
girl could have done that?
I'm sure it was hard. The kegs weighed 55 pounds each.
Yeah,
That's
you
not
could just
impossible,
fill them.
even for a teenage girl.
I guess it isn't impossible.
After that, you get on top of the counter, hook the other end of the wires to the kegs, and then, what do you think happens if you kick the kegs off the counter?
The 3 kegs weighed 165 pounds altogether. Renju weighs 5 pounds less. I guess that would make it possible.
Possible, but
But-
friction would be
But there is
practically
one more.
at equilibrium.
Considering the state of the crime scene, it's clear Renju was killed elsewhere and brought to where we found him. If Iris is the culprit, how did she move the body?
And that does bring up the question of the elevator.
I know. You're going to say you couldn't have moved a 160-pound body.
Unfortunately for her, she could have.
How?
Put them in a barrel and roll them. Those barrels are real heavy, but if you tilt them on their side, they're actually, not all the way on the side, but on their catacorner, they're very easy to roll. It's actually kind of fun to roll them. Yeah, come on. Yep. Oh, I can just use this. That's way easier than the stupid arrow. I wonder if I can use this for everything. Okay. Yeah, that has something to do with it, and so does his watch. He loved that watch, and he would have never left it inside an oil barrel
Do you
if
know
he
what
was
this
alive.
is? It's Renju's favorite watch. This was discovered inside an empty oil drum at Sunfish Pocket.
Hey, Date, I know you're on a roll right now, but could Could you please report things like that according to protocol?
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that it wouldn't be so hard to move a body if it were in a cylinder.
That's
Just have to
true.
roll it.
So you're saying Renju's body was moved inside the drum, which is
Yeah.
how the watch came off. But the suspect didn't notice it.
I'm not saying anything for sure.
And if you...
Just pointing out that it's possible.
I didn't do it!
Best part of it is, if he was already dead, then rolling him around in the drum won't bruise him up. If he had been alive, he would be just absolutely covered in bruises.
You don't even have any witnesses! If I were rolling an oil drum in the middle of the street, people would have noticed!
You sure
You
about
could have
that?
put it in a car and driven it.
I don't have a license!
Your mother
Doesn't mean
does.
You can't drive. Even an AI can drive nowadays.
Are you mocking me?
Yes.
Don't make sudden outbursts like that.
You insulted me.
Too bad.
Just be quiet.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to my eyeball. I honestly thought that he was going to take out his eye
Anyway,
and plop it on the table.
Iris, you weigh about 105 pounds, right?
Where is this coming from?
If only you weighed more. Or less.
That is none of your business.
No, I mean that your weight is relevant to the case. If the oil drum was used to transport the corpse, then the possibility of the suspect being around 105 pounds is extremely likely.
Because of the
Why
weight
do
of
you
the
say
elevator. Because the elevator record has the weight of what it moved. Which I think is unusual for an elevator record. Not
Sunfish
sure.
Pocket is located on the second floor. According to the records, from 6:30 p.m. until the body was found, the elevator stopped on the second floor only once, at 8:55 p.m. The total weight detected in the elevator was approximately 310 pounds.
$8:55 p.m. I thought they died at 8. Wait, no, he died at 8. He died somewhere else and was moved. That actually does make sense. So... let's, beep bada boop. We're gonna be showing that. And... her weight's not that interesting, but Renju's is. And the oil drum, I believe, is 55 pounds.
Iris, on which floor is Sunfish Pocket located?
On the second floor?
That's right. So, I checked the elevator records. Before the corpse was discovered, the elevator only stopped at the second floor once, at 8:55 p.m. And we discovered that the total cargo weight on the elevator was about 310 pounds.
Oh.
Renju weighed 160. The oil drum weighs 44. Together, that's about 205. Subtracting that from 310.
This doesn't look good.
No, it does not.
Now, this obviously doesn't prove you're the murderer. A lot of people weigh 105 pounds. Or someone could have put 105 extra pounds in the elevator, sent it up, and taken the stairs to throw us off the trail.
Okay, so
However-
the stairs do reach there. I had been wondering that the entire time.
Date, stop. Iris is acting strange. Don't turn around.
Why not?
Just stay put. Keep your eyes on the wall. There
Weird.
are several cameras in this room. 2 surveillance cameras installed at the corners of the ceiling, and 1 camera on a tripod. I hacked
Okay.
each to gain access to their recordings.
Well, that explains how you
Look
can
at
see it.
this.
Wait a second. She has the weird eye thing too. Is that her logo? Also, what is on the table? I know that I should know what that is, but I'm not entirely sure.
She's
Okay,
fidgeting
Iris.
around. Is she doing something under the desk?
That's what it looks like. But we need to confirm something before we confront her. We need to know that she's in fact doing something under the desk.
Without turning around?
Yes.
How would I do that?
A mirror? Other camera? Lower the other camera. Oh, she's got her phone. That makes sense. Oh no.
Iris, what are you thinking? What is that thing? Hey, answer me, Iris.
Honestly,
She's
Date, this
definitely
is your
hiding
fault.
something, Date.
You should have taken your phone away.
Sync with her.
I don't know Japan's legal system, but I doubt that that's useful.
Medication is working perfectly.
Can you just medicate someone and sync with them
How about
against
it,
their
Date?
will?
Think you can do it?
Not a problem. Get it started.
The time limit is 6 minutes. So before time is up,
I know.
then let's begin.
Here we go. On to illegal search and seizure.
What is this place?
It looks depressing. How is this related to Iris?
Why do I
Unknown,
think that
But there must be a connection.
Iris,
the father
what are you
thing...
hiding?
I feel like she might have been abused at some point, and that has to do with this.
Scan. Activate!
Okay, mental lock number 1 is a static TV. Number 2 is the windows. And I don't know what number 3 is. 4? 4. Discover a secret. Videos on a strange device. You must be able to find the truth. Okay. TV, what you got?
A CRT TV.
Spin the dial. Nothing? Oh, yeah.
Stop!
What the fuck?
Please!
Huh.
What is this video?
I'm beginning to think
It
that
is
Renju
difficult to
did
believe.
something.
But these are the faces of the victims of the original Cyclops killer.
What?
Really?
What is going on here?
Now that's
Iris,
interesting.
What are you hiding?
We should continue. There are more objects to inspect now.
Okay, I'm very interested now. Oh, I already solved the first mental lock. Wow. You picked... So I picked up a bad timey. Negative timies can multiply time or force you to use them. Oh, that's not good. If you pick one up, be careful. Ooh. Okay. Torso. Hello.
Torso with a head.
If it has a head, is it still called a torso?
What
Good
would
question.
you call it?
head so. Okay. Oh, damn. Everything there has massive amounts of time cost. Look around. Maybe the door will have something with less time cost. Okay, yeah. Open the door.
It doesn't open. We don't have...
Okay, that's good. That made it to where it only costs me still a good bit of time to waste. I don't know. Okay. So I'm actually going to push it. For 1/6 time? Push it. Really nothing.
No use.
Their guard is up. You have to loosen them up first.
What do you mean?
Knock the shit out of them.
The traditional approach would be to start with a massage.
Oh, I want a massage. Massage sounds nice.
If you are not going to help, should I choke you instead?
Honestly, you are very cute, so maybe.
You should try that on them. They might be into that.
Date, please stop.
He might be right. Okay.
5 minutes left, Date.
Torso with a head.
Damn, I'm already down to 5 minutes. Okay. Well, we're gonna be using half time. They said to choke it, so I'll try it. I don't like the stream. This stream is weird. Whoever's having the stream is weird.
Even my consciousness is being affected.
While I was unconscious, the room changed.
I'm tired of this. But we have no choice but to investigate.
Oh, this is just weird. Okay. Got the mirror, operating table, TV. I think it's a different TV. Log, cables. Okay, I beat it to death. What? B? This is just weird.
A drug bottle that holds some kind of liquid.
I'm creeped out. Investigate it.
There is no label. I cannot determine what is inside.
Well, that was
Probably
useful.
dangerous.
I agree. We should not touch it if we do not know what it is. Even in somnium, some things should not...
Yeah, I gotta agree. Some things probably shouldn't be done. Okay, the doors aren't useful, the mirror might be.
A full-body mirror.
A full-body mirror with a body in it that's not body out here. Weird. Okay. Punch, look, or talk. Honestly, I'm feeling talk. 30 seconds, talk.
Can you talk?
Can you talk?
Oh,
What? Don't copy me.
What? Don't copy me.
I like
Pervert. Date is a pervert.
Pervert. Date is a pervert.
this. They agree.
Why do I have to get called a pervert? And twice.
Huh.
4 minutes.
Sheesh, I'm burning through time.
A full...
Okay. So... I'll take a fourth to just look at it.
A torso in the reflection.
A torso? Not you?
Is there any meaning to this?
Can't say. But what is going on?
Wow, it's the last one that I didn't do, maybe. That's not good, but halftime. Punch it.
Are you sure I can break this mirror?
You can break this
I don't think I
mirror.
have the strength to break it.
Then why did you ask me to, pervert?
Just
Aww.
punch it, and I'm not a pervert.
Poor Dante. Everybody calling him pervert. Third
See?
person today.
It won't break.
What was the point of that?
Honestly, what was the point of that? Because I've done everything to the mirror. Wait, a gun? How do I investigate gun? Oh, that's
A revolver.
Is it real?
Is it a real revolver?
It appears that way.
Halftime jump it.
Weekly Shonen?
Jump!
Don't say it.
Oh.
I did the best I could. I am not a cyborg, and thus I cannot reach that height.
Wait,
This is
you're not a
my fault.
cyborg. You're purely mechanical, or electrical, or whatever. You should be stronger than a cyborg.
Nobody's blaming you.
I'm blaming you. What? Why
3 minutes,
was I
Dante.
at that? That angle was weird. Okay. Oh, I have to be at that angle. Not fun. Okay.
A revolver.
I have to use something anyway, so I might as well use my halftime to investigate it.
It is a pistol. It appears to be fixed with a vice.
How did Vice get up
Why
there?
would this be here?
You know, this is a dream, so it doesn't really matter.
What's this? The trigger. There is a stick in the hole of the trigger guard.
That's suspicious.
Okay, I might actually lose this one. Okay, TV.
An old television.
Let's see. Let's go with 1/4 time to hit it. Oh. I don't like that it screamed.
Iris, what is all this?
That was weird.
You have less than 2 minutes, Dante. Hurry.
There's so much here. Beat it to death. Why is that flashing? I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm gonna check out the operating table. You know, I'm just too curious not to. I gotta use my 20 and perform surgery. As much as I'm tempted to... You know, sleep actually costs more? I'm gonna sleep. Can I sleep in a dream?
How does it feel?
Awful. Am I going to be killed? Modified? I'm restless.
For you, is there a difference between being modified or killed?
Do you think they'll modify you into a grasshopper or a spider?
Preferably grasshopper.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, that was cute dialogue, but
It's
not
an
useful.
operating table.
I didn't mean to
The
investigate,
fabric on
I
the
was trying to
surface
do
is frayed.
something else.
It appears to be in use despite its age.
They did surgery here?
Surgery or worse.
Ew. Good God, I have almost no time left. Okay.
It's an operating...
1/6 time. Perform surgery.
Who do you intend I operate on?
A mannequin
Can
somewhere.
you just pretend to do it?
Pretend to do it? Nothing's happening. How disappointing.
Damn. I thought it might trigger a memory to recreate itself or something.
Perhaps you should abandon that line of thinking.
There are so many things that just aren't useful. Okay. I can't believe that I figured out the TV first try and then just...
Date, you've got less than 30 seconds.
Okay,
A
we're
drug
gonna
bottle
drink the
that
medicine,
holds
I
some
guess.
kind of liquid. There
Not
is
what
no
I wanted
label.
to do again.
I cannot
gotta
determine what is
remember the
inside.
controls.
It's probably...
Even in... Date, we're out of...
Damn! What the hell?
Retry. Yeah, restart from lock 2. Yeah. Fingers crossed that I can figure out what I need to do by that time. Okay. So I'm guessing it has to do with the medicine bottle,
drug
actually.
bottle that holds some...
So... I don't like to do this, but I'm going to chug it.
Do not pressure me, Date.
Pressure you?
Into drinking alcohol.
Is it alcohol?
Well, no.
This is for an investigation. I'm ordering you to drink it.
You are exploiting your position of power. I will set up a labor union.
An
A
AI
labor union of 1.
Sounds dystopian.
I won't drink it.
Fine.
Okay, that was entirely pointless. Everything
drug
seems
bottle
to be
that holds some
pointless.
kind of-
Good grief. Okay, 20 seconds, smell it.
A syrupy smell, like sweet almonds.
Oh, good thing
Syrup?
that you didn't drink
Think
it
they were
then.
baking a cake or something?
No,
If it isn't
that's
syrup,
poison.
it's nitroglycerin.
Why is that here?
Nitroglycerin reacts violently upon light impact. It needs to be mixed to lower its sensitivity.
Mixed with what?
Acetone.
Acetone?
It is best that we do not disturb this for now.
Right.
Okay, that is concerning. Okay. Got an operating table that has nothing. Mirror does nothing. I can't remember if the TV did something or not.
An old television.
Okay, I can hit it, turn the dial, or investigate it. I think I only hit it before. I'm gonna investigate it just because turning the dial would take too much of my time. I don't like how
That's just
little
static.
time.
My generation has never seen static.
Right. You're only 5 years old.
Do
Oh,
not
that's
measure my age on the
troublesome.
same scale as a human's. My mental age is 10 times that.
Mature woman, huh?
I never thought about young
3 minutes,
kids
Dante.
don't know what static on televisions looks like.
An old television.
That's just weird. Okay. I'm gonna go with the 20 just because I know I have some other expensive things to do that... Actually, no, that's stupid. The expensive stuff would be better off
An
with
old
the 20 than... I did it again.
It's the world
I
beyond,
might be stupid.
Date.
That's just static.
My generation has never seen static.
Right.
Do not...
Okay.
An old...
So I want to use 1/4 and turn the dial. Oh. Oh.
That video showed the face of a victim of the original Cyclops killer. It appeared to be the second victim.
What is going on? Iris has something to do with the first Cyclops case?
Unknown. I do not have enough information.
Guess that means we have to investigate more.
Indeed. The oil drum, shelf, and another torso have been added.
Let's go.
Oh, there's so much being added for I have so little time. Okay, oil drum, shelf, and a mannequin. Does the oil drum do anything? No, but I get the feeling that it's probably filled with acetone. Oh well. Let's go with this mannequin.
Torso similar to a fashion mannequin.
Okay. Choking it was the answer last time. It could be again, but I'm gonna go with punching it. Is probably the answer this time. That was violent.
I didn't get hit, did I?
You
There is
did.
no effect on your body, Date.
So
While you were unconscious, a television and an old book appeared.
Ooh,
want to get
old
off
boat.
this ride.
If my calculations are correct, it will be over soon.
Let's hope you're right.
It'll be over soon either way. Ugh. Okay. Why am I walking? I don't
You have
want
less
to be
than
walking.
2 minutes, Date. Hurry.
I need the book. Gas canister. Oh. Where's the book? Is that it? Yo, there we go. Worn out
It
reference
is a
book.
thick book.
Read it. Thank you for not letting me do that. Read it.
It has not been well preserved. Most of the ink has faded.
Can you tell what kind of book it is?
It is probably a book on... insects! It's a book on insects!
She's way
Don't
too
get
happy
excited.
about that.
I know how you love bugs. Does this book belong to Iris?
I didn't know she liked insects, and to read the book so often that it wears out.
Well, we can't prove it's Iris's.
True. We cannot conclude anything.
Huh. Well, that was cute, but it wasn't
An illustrated-
overall interesting. I doubt that she'll be willing to rip it up.
This will be easy. It's more brittle than crumbly cheese. Oh,
Melted down like a grilled cheese.
Okay, that was weird. Wait. B. Shoot to death. I'm beginning to think that these are actually hints. So I am going to shoot that, I think. A
a
gun.
revolver.
Is it real?
It appears that way.
So, let's use 1/6 time, I guess. And jumping didn't do anything last time, but let's do it one more time.
Weekly Shonen?
Don't say it!
Exact same thing. Damn.
Nobody's blaming you.
Okay, at least it didn't take long.
A revolver.
Let's see, I'm gonna use my 1/3 time, investigate it.
It is a pistol.
Why would this be?
What's this?
That's suspicious.
Okay, so it's the exact same thing as last time, so I should never do that again, I guess. Okay, so... I haven't done anything with this TV.
An
Thank you.
old-fashioned
I didn't know that I only had 1 minute. So one of the TVs turning the dial did it, one of them hitting it did it. I'm gonna investigate this one, I think.
How is it?
Nothing pops out, even with me crossing my eyes.
But you only have one eye.
see
You
without-
are only one eye.
Static. An old-fashioned TV.
Okay, so that did nothing. Okay, a fifth time. Turn the dial. Oh?
Please.
Oh. Oh. Wait, there were two. Oh.
This was the third victim of the original Cyclops killer.
I think that I get it. I think that the two that died recently might have been the original Cyclops killers. Revenge killing?
Why does Iris know that?
There is a possibility that she saw it online or on TV.
I doubt that.
She even reproduced the circumstances of the killing. Would her imagination explain that?
Date, we have no direct evidence. For now, we must continue investigating.
Right.
Damn. I do not have much time. Wait, what? Ball? Explosion maybe would free the ball. Gas canister, what can I do with you? Okay, so I'm gonna go for 1/6 time. Open the valve. Damn.
If you can't, then
It is meant to be closed?
I think so.
I was hoping that it
A
wouldn't
common
do.
gas canister.
Shit. Did I forget to use? I did, didn't I? Unfortunate. Kick it. That looked like it hurt.
Are you okay?
It hurts. I might not be able to stand for a while.
Don't give up. I believe
that you are more of a sadist than you let on. A common gas...
Good God. 6 seconds. Smell it.
The smell tingles, like sweet and sour. A ketone. Perhaps acetone?
acetone,
Yo.
A-set, some relation to Iris?
I cannot determine that with the evidence we have. More than likely, it is coincidence.
I don't think it is. Unfortunately, we have no time. But I think that I need to combine you with...
Date, we're out of time.
Damn, what the hell is this place?
So I have nitroglycerin, I have acetone. Damn, this is hard. I'd use up my other two, so I will restart with 116.
You have less than 2 minutes, Date. Hurry.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So, I believe that I already did... I didn't do the TV yet, did I?
An old
No, I don't think I did. Okay. For 1/6 time, turn the dial. And I'm gonna skip through the getting shot, because I don't quite care to... It doesn't let me skip.
Please,
Oh no.
help me. Help me.
I'm gonna be honest, this bothers me a lot more than what I would
This was
anticipate
the
it
third
bothering
victim
me.
of the original Cyclops killer.
Ugh.
Why does Iris know that?
There is a possibility that she
Even
Okay,
Date,
so I'm
we
back
have no
up to the
direct
point where I
evidence.
died. Okay. That's new, I think. Gun, locker. What's the
Just a
locker
locker.
got? Locker, peek inside the locker, I think. Yeah.
I saw light reflected for a moment. It is
Really?
some type of metal. I cannot determine more.
metal? Be careful, Iva.
Understood.
Okay, I get the feeling that involves this somehow.
1 minute left.
Because anything else would take more time than what I
Just a
currently
locker.
have. Just a locker. 1/6 time? No. Use 10 seconds. Open it.
Iba?
It's all right. More importantly,
Oh. Rube Goldberg gas machine be going. Oh god, it's gonna fall on the explosive, isn't it? I would advise getting in the locker. Now. Oh wait, no, don't get in the locker. It's probably gonna set off a giant boulder rolling at the locker. Or... what the fuck? Is that gonna pull the trigger to the gun and shoot the mirror? Because that's about the only thing that I can think about. Nope. Maybe? No, there's the explosive. Rube Goldberg gas murder.
that is...
Terrifying. Eugh. Eugh. Oh. What? Is that me? What the fuck? Ew. Okay, I'm very creeped out. This game is, creepy.
What happened in that somnium?
We saw it too.
The 4 murdered women are without a doubt the victims of the original Cyclops serial killings.
That means...
The murders that occurred 6 years ago are these memory fragments that coalesced in this somnium.
no. That means the person who killed them was...
That's fucked. That's just absolutely fucked. Computer, tell me that isn't so. About the original Cyclops killer.
Remember what the boss said this morning. The original Cyclops killer has yet to be brought to justice. After the investigation got going, it was taken over by the government and classified. That was the
Well,
last we heard anything
I
about
did
it.
lose my memory
Of
about
course,
that long
they
ago.
paid lip service to the idea that the investigation was ongoing, but in reality, it was dropped completely.
That's, Why did I appear to be the Cyclops killer?
The sinker does not always experience the somnium they expect. Dreams are pieced together from memories, even repressed subconscious ones. When using the sync machine for an investigation, we don't always see the memories we expect to see. True, oftentimes the subject will subconsciously want to express their dark secrets and repressed memories. That is why we see them so often in Somnia, and why those Somnia are so useful for criminal investigations. But this is not a guarantee. We cannot control the content of our dreams, after all.
That's really weird. Once again, why?
It's like I told you before. Dreams are pieced together from memories. This can be expressed: Dream D equals Memory A plus Memory B plus Memory C. This, of course, means that Dream D is a fictional event. However, the same cannot necessarily be said about Memory A, B, and C. Those happened in reality. In other words, fiction is built from combinations of reality.
So what I saw in Somnium earlier...
Yes. I believe Iris actually witnessed those events.
That's not good for me.
Pewter, you said that memories happen in reality, right? But what about false memories? How do we know if the memory really happened?
Even false memories are built from the pieces of real ones. If you disassemble those pieces, you will find real events.
What about things you see in movies or television?
The events might be fictional, but the experience is not. Our imaginations are limited to what we have seen. We cannot invent something whole cloth.
Red figure,
In the Somnium earlier, I saw someone else who might be the criminal. Who was he?
I wouldn't know.
Okay, the question I didn't want to ask. How about the original versus the new ones?
I don't believe there's any meaningful connection. Between the original and new Cyclops serial killings, I mean.
Why is that?
The culprit is not the same. I am absolutely certain the original Cyclops killer could not have committed these crimes.
How can you be so sure?
Because I can. Don't worry about it. Just trust me.
I trust you far less than I did a minute ago, Pewter. I don't trust you at all. Pewter, stay the fuck away from me. Okay, now to the person that I didn't want to talk to. After I see if anybody else is in the room that I can avoid talking to her. What up, boss? So, the blue figure, Cyclops killings. Oh, good grief. What about the original Cyclops serial killings?
The Cyclops killer appeared 6 years ago. I lost my memory 6 years ago. There has to be some kind of connection.
There doesn't have to be, but it looks like there is.
There isn't. It's a coincidence.
You sure about that, boss?
Really?
Because I just showed up in someone's memories being the killer. Okay, how about the blue figure at the site?
Help me understand this. What I saw during the sync earlier, that was the scene of the original Cyclops serial killings, right?
Yeah.
So the person doing the killing was the original Cyclops killer.
Right.
Did you see him? He was...
I saw your face. The original Cyclops killer was...
It can't be. It's impossible.
Well, that was 6 years ago, and what are the odds that he's wearing the same coat and everything from 6 years ago? Plus, I'm trying to put together in my head whether this is reality or not, but it looks like his eye is not missing from 6 years ago, because I think that the eye that we're looking at would be the eye that's currently yellow.
Date, you cannot say that for certain. You have no memories past 6 years ago.
My arm is very sore now because
So
the
perhaps,
shots...
Mr. Date, you are the killer. You're missing your left eye, so you steal them from others.
I'm kidding. You can't be the Cyclops killer.
How do you
Really?
figure?
Of course not. Do you think I would hire a serial killer?
Maybe.
You interrogated Iris before the sink. What you saw in the somnium was just a manifestation of the fear you put in her.
Maybe. Still have a bad feeling about this. So, why did she know about the serial killings?
You can't dream of something you know nothing about.
Oh, hi,
That
hearing
means
problem.
Iris must know about the killings.
How's
6
your day
years ago,
going?
Iris was 12.
Did she witness the crime at age 12? And not just one, but all 4?
This game just gets more and more messed up. Okay. So, about those original killings, you willing to tell me anything more than what you've already told me? Ah, work and school, that is a hard combination. I honestly haven't been doing too much today. I went and got my flu shot, and so my arm's pretty sore from that. Other than that, and grocery shopping, this. Okay, tell me more about the original
Didn't I tell
Cyclops
you?
killing.
The entire case is a state secret. No matter how many times you ask, I won't tell you anything.
Boss, I'm going to strap you down to that somnium machine, and I'm going to take your memories. If you do not tell me more. Actually, that brings up a question. How long ago did this machine come into existence? Was it about 6 years ago? Did you do something to me? Oh well, summarize it for me. Oh. No, I had auto on, it just wasn't working. Huh. If anything, the mystery is growing only deeper. Computer shook me from my thoughts.
Dante, it looks like Iris is about to wake up.
Got it.
I head into the sink room.
Hey, Iris. About that dream earlier.
Oh yeah, hearing, how were classes today?
Dream? What dream?
There is no point in asking her, Date. The subject of a sink does not experience somnium in the way that you do. They will not remember it.
Then what about the Cyclops killer from 6 years ago?
Cyclops killer? I remember hearing it on the news. But I was just a little girl. I don't remember anything specific.
You don't?
No,
What about the scene of the murder?
I don't know. I've never been there.
But
Dreams are pieced together from memories, even repressed subconscious ones.
You can't dream of something you know nothing about.
Well, that's good. Being overloaded on classwork is not fun. I remember one time I tried to take, I think it was 16 credit hours over the summer of engineering and lab work, and it was Very, very hard.
Date, could you take Iris home?
Huh?
We do not have enough evidence to hold her. Even in Somnium, we couldn't find anything. The law demands that we release her.
You cannot decline, Date.
Zoom. Hey.
Date, could we make a stop first?
Sure.
Where?
Marble. It's a bar in Golden Yokocho.
You know about that place?
That's
yeah, Mr.
concerning.
Ogiura took me before.
Why do you want to go there?
There's something I want to talk about.
We can't talk here?
It might take a while.
Honestly, hearing that's almost certainly for the best. Being overloaded and burning yourself out is a very hard thing to recover from.
What do you think?
There's no reason to refuse.
I
Besides,
can
there's
count
a lot
one
I wanna
reason.
ask her, too.
She's pretty young.
Alright, sure.
Taking her to a bar just seems like a bad idea. I get the feeling that somebody else is gonna show up at Marble. Oh no, where's Mama? Oh, it's him.
Tessa!
Oh,
You
Ota!
can't just let 12-year-olds into a bar. And he looks blazed out of his bloody mind. Good God, look at his eyes. Look at his other eyes. Seriously, what is that kid? And I think that she has one too. Good God. The fuck are you doing here, kid? This is my favorite bar. Actually, isn't your phone broken, kid?
No, this is my new one. You're thinking of the one I dropped in that puddle.
You have the money to just drop and get a new phone. Where are you getting this money? Your parents didn't even know that you had a phone. Okay. Never thought that I'd run into you at a place like this.
I was nihiling with Tessa earlier. She said she was going to Marble, so... I got here just before you did. Look, I was really worried about her. She was about to be charged with a serious crime.
No, she was not going to be charged. We were still investigating. Yeah. Where's Mama? I need a drink.
Oh, she left a little while ago. She said something about going to help an acquaintance. She told me to watch the place until she got back.
How well do you know Mama?
Not at all. It's my first time here.
This place is weird. I don't like it. Okay, so what was that thing that you were talking about earlier while you were texting during the interview?
This actually works out nicely. I want to ask you something, Ota. It's about a Nile message you sent Iris. You said you wouldn't tell anyone about that thing. That you'd stay quiet no matter what. What were you talking about?
Well,
I'll tell her about the two-witter thing. I swear I'll do it.
I would have done it
geez,
anyway.
fine. Just don't tell anyone else, okay? But before I tell you, who's that?
What?
At the door. Someone's standing outside.
That's concerning. Yep, that was very concerning. What the fuck? Please don't tell me the literal children were the killer. I would really rather not be children. I'm gonna assume that he walked into the bar and immediately tased Mama. But here's the thing about tasing someone. They don't just stay down. Same thing with knocking somebody out. They do not stay down. If somebody stays down, then you have seriously injured them. That's,
Where am I?
Where's my eye? Why is my eye gone? Oh, no. What the fuck? I agree, hearing nothing could ever go wrong if you leave a 12-year-old in charge of the bar.
Looks like you're awake now.
Holy hell, what the fuck happened? Honestly, I don't think with this turn of events, he did anything. What the hell is going on? They're gone, and from what I can tell, my eye is also gone. Where the hell were you? I need a drink. I still need a drink. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna look at you. Okay. What time is it?
It'll be 3 o'clock soon.
AM or PM?
In the morning, of course.
Not great. Not great. So, why didn't you wake me up?
I tried. You wouldn't budge. I thought you were passed out drunk, so I left you like that.
How the fuck
But
would I be passed out drunk?
Me, right?
So you weren't drunk?
No!
Didn't have a single drop.
Oh,
Okay, my
I thought you
eye's
were
still
drinking
there,
straight
thank
out of the
God.
bottle. Just like the old days.
Okay, so they didn't take my eye, they just tased me, left me on the couch. If they were smart, they probably poured a bit of alcohol into my mouth so that it would have the smell of me drinking, and left. Yeah. So, where's Ota?
Ota? The boy I asked to watch the bar?
I'd
So
say
he
he's
was
too
telling
old to
the
be called a
fucking
boy,
truth.
but yeah.
He was already gone when I came back. All I saw was you getting your beauty sleep on the floor.
Damn it, Ota. What are you thinking?
It appears that he took off with Iris.
What were you doing during all this?
My power was shut down due to the stun gun. I have rebooted in safe mode and am now operational. Date.
That's
the boss is
honestly what
calling.
I'm thinking hearing.
Oh, how am I gonna report this one?
Date, listen. Stay calm, but this is an emergency.
Oh,
Just now,
not
the killer-
this.
Well, just watch the video. I sent
Good
the address
God.
to Iba.
Iris.
Ota, whenever I find you, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. Never mind, Ota. Whenever I find you, I'm going to saw your fucking ass.
No, that's...
The criminal is streaming this live.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Oda, because he's put forth some real weird-ass vibes.
Koto District.
Okiura?
Date, focus. We need to get to the site, now.
It's time to roll out.
What's our ETA?
Our destination is far from here.
Well then, Florence.
20 minutes at the fastest.
Please, please let me make it in time.
Considering the saw isn't even spinning.
Sick bastard.
Okay, never mind about the saw not even spinning. Why do I open my mouth? Yes, it is a good thing that Ota didn't steal the car. Granted, considering that the AI seems to always need to be linked to the car, I don't think he could.
Hold on, I'll save you.
Yeah, it's definitely Oda.
Ota?
Oh god, it's this. This dude didn't learn from Twitter, did he?
Stay away from Tessa!
Literally the exact same thing that he was doing on Twitter. Like, literally the same thing. Making fake accounts to bully her, then making his own account to save her. So, I'm gonna go with she's probably not in any real danger.
No, it can't be. No. Stop!
We're not gonna make it there in time because, quite frankly, she's... Maybe I'm wrong. It looks like I am very wrong. Oda, whenever I find you, I'm going to put your head in a blender.
No!
Neither did I, Hearing. Neither did I. I'm kinda halfway expecting to find Oda's dead body, too. Or no one. That's also a possibility. What the fuck? I'm guessing that's Oda in the bear costume. Is that Oda? I think it is.
Ota.
Okay, it is. See, this is why you don't tase people and run away. Well, If anything, we gained one piece of information. Neither of them did it. Are we on the other side of the questioning table?
There you are. Finally. I was looking all over for you. It's rare to see you down like this, but it's understandable. You blame yourself for this, don't you? Beating yourself
we
up
shouldn't have
about
taken
taking
kids
Iris
to Marble.
and about letting Ota get the upper hand on you. Am I right?
Yeah?
Shall I tell you what Investigation HQ thinks? Ota Matsushita is a criminal stalker who committed murder-suicide.
Honestly,
Ota
that
had
could
a
be
selfish
it.
love for Iris. He was under the delusion that Iris loved him too. But Iris refused Ota. So Ota decided that he and Iris should be together in the afterlife, killed her, then killed himself.
No, that doesn't sound right. From what I saw, I don't think that she would have refused him.
That's ridiculous. Ota would never kill Iris. And how do you explain the other two murders? Iris's left eye was hollowed out. Just like Renju and Shoko. Those three murders were definitely executed by the same person. The new Cyclops killer. There's no way that's Ota. Too many pieces don't fit. Too many contradictions, like killing Iris.
Such as?
Camera? Actually, who's behind that mirror? Because that's definitely one-way glass. This is what I'm supposed to do. Ota's behavior didn't seem real to me. The polar bear costume also doesn't fully add up. But Ota really did not, to my knowledge, have any incentive to kill Renju.
Maybe he was thinking like this. The reason Iris and I can't be together is because her agency prohibits it.
No.
Making the president, Renju, the ultimate bad guy in his mind.
Mizuki is Ota's close friend. Do you really think Ota would kill his friend's father?
Also, he had no incentive to kill Shoko. He didn't even know that Shoko was related.
Shoko was married to Renju. Maybe he was trying to get at Renju by killing her.
He didn't know that.
They've been divorced for years. Ota knows all about it. He wouldn't use Shoko to get to Renju.
Oh, maybe he did know. No, he didn't know because he brought it up. I guess polar bear costume?
The culprit was wearing a polar bear costume, probably to hide their identity. But if murder-suicide was the plan, the costume served no purpose.
That is true. But that rings out like his behavior on Twitter.
Ota showed himself on the stream. If he was gonna kill Iris and then himself, why would he do that? The only reason you would show yourself like that is to prove that you weren't the culprit.
I wonder
Ota
if
and
he
the
had
polar bear on the screen
planned
at the same
to...
time would prove that they're not the same person. That behavior would be totally unnecessary if he was gonna commit suicide anyway.
Hey, Sully.
Well, maybe he wasn't planning on dying at first.
This is a very messed up game. Okay. So what I'm thinking is... maybe he did set all this up and put her in danger to try and pull the same thing they did on Twitter, make fake accounts to put her in danger and then save her. But then a actual killer showed up and killed both of them. So the second time that we see the polar bear on screen pulling the lever was a real killer. The first time, I'm guessing, was him. Or perhaps the same person was in the polar bear suit both times and he had hired somebody to help.
After he killed Iris, he realized that he couldn't live with himself.
I doubt that. This kid lives with a lot.
So he lies down on the workbench and turns on the ice cutting machine himself? I don't buy it.
There are some additional discrepancies.
What you
I
got,
analyzed
eyeball?
the investigation report. Judging by his wound, Ota was stabbed in the side by a kitchen knife or something similar.
Really?
Are you sure?
I am.
Huh.
Oh,
Why would
I
you
know
stab him first?
Well,
Ota could have stabbed himself.
I doubt
Maybe
that.
he thought it would be a fatal wound, but when it didn't work, he went for the ice cutting machine.
That's a
shouldn't
hell of
we
a
have recovered
stupid
the kitchen knife
decision.
from the scene?
Maybe he threw it in the ocean.
Boss, come on. Ota goes out to the water, stabs himself in the gut, throws the knife over the side, then walks back to the warehouse?
Well, I wasn't being serious. I didn't think Ota was the culprit from the beginning.
Really?
I was
You
just
seem
playing
pretty
devil's
serious.
advocate for HQ.
Oh.
Really?
Yes, really.
Actually, I can't call her out on that. I do that a lot.
Ota didn't kill anyone, and he didn't kill himself. Here's what I think happened.
Stay away from Tessa!
Ota knew Iris was kidnapped, so he rushed onto the scene. That's when
Yes,
he
they
saw
do,
the culprit
Hearing.
wearing the polar bear costume. He tried to fight him off, but ended up being stabbed in the side. He was weakened and losing blood at the culprit's mercy. The culprit forced him into the costume, then under the ice cutting machine. And then...
Then, who is the culprit?
I
We
wish
don't
I
know.
knew.
We're up to 4 victims. But Ota was a special circumstance. He wasn't specifically targeted by the culprit.
Right. And he was the only one to not have his eye pulled out.
So let's focus on the 3 other
Wow.
victims. Shoko, Renju, and Iris. What connects these 3?
Connections.
If you find a connection between the victims, you find a connection to the culprit. That's the theory of investigation, right?
Well, one thing does connect all of us. And that would be the little girl that I live with. She is literally connected to every single person, including me.
You think the new Cyclops killer is related to them somehow?
Maybe, maybe not. But it's a good starting point.
Yeah, Mizuki's who I'm thinking. Iris' mother isn't really connected to everyone, I don't think. Is she connected to Mizuki? Actually, does she need to be connected to her? I don't think that's Ota's mother. She seems out of the loop for everything. And Mama doesn't seem to be connected to the original killer. Not the original killer, to the original death. Shoko's. So I'm thinking Mizuki's the one that makes the most sense.
Mizuki has the strongest connections with all 3 victims. Shoko and Renji were her parents, and she was close friends with Iris. She was good friends with Ota, too. But that's why I could never believe Mizuki would kill all 4 of them. Thinking of her as a suspect is ridiculous.
Oh, I was just making connections, not thinking about who's the actual suspect. I guess Iris' mom makes the best connection.
Hitomi and Renju are definitely linked. They were high school classmates. And she did say that she met Shoko twice. But I can't imagine she would kill Iris in such a gruesome way. No matter what the circumstances were, it seems impossible to me.
I don't think that Ota's mother's involved at all.
Mayumi had motive for killing Iris and Renju.
Really?
Mayumi hated Iris, and she didn't think well of Lemnis Gate either. And since Renju is the president... Anyway, the weak point is Renju's ex-wife, Shoko. I can't imagine why Mayumi would kill her. And above all else, she would never harm her only son, let alone kill him.
Does she know that that happened? Ugh. Okay. Well, that leaves the bartender, who has been actually behaving really weirdly now that I think about her letting 12-year-olds into the bar and 12-year-olds run the bar. Yeah, something's not right, I guess.
Renju and Shoko were connected to the Kumakuras. But there's no connection to Iris.
Yeah, the congressman doesn't make much sense either.
Renju, Shoko, and So. There is a connection between Renju and Shoko through the Kumakuras. But again, I can't see any clear link to Iris.
Yeah, I am literally linked to everyone.
I know Renju and Shoko. And I'm connected to Iris. But I have an alibi. Aside from Shoko, there's no way I could have killed any of them. No, now that I think about it, Shoko too. I don't remember killing her. My memories from 6 years ago are missing, but I still have my memory of recent events. And if I start doubting myself now...
Date, I can say without a doubt that there is zero possibility you are the new Cyclops killer. I have been working with you for years. I know better than anyone that you are innocent.
So, anyone care to place bets
I thought it over, boss.
on who the killer is?
Of the people I know, I can't peg any of them as the murderer.
And no leads to pursue?
No.
Then there's only one thing you can do. Continue your investigation. Do whatever it takes to get the culprit. To get justice for the victims.
You're right. Got it, boss.
Okay. Now this just got a whole lot more open world now, didn't it? I think that we need to go to the diner and let her know. This isn't gonna be good. The place was silent. It was so quiet, I felt like I could hear the floating dust. I stepped inside and thought it was empty, but I saw a shadow in the corner of my eye. Thank you for the follow, the Crow Talon. It was Mayumi. It was like watching a decaying old tree cling pathetically to the earth. Oh. Hello, Mayumi. I'm sorry. About Ota. Do you want to talk about it?
This is your fault.
You're not
I heard
wrong.
from the police. Because you didn't take care of Iris. My boy Ota got involved.
Date, I looked into the investigation report. Mayumi confirmed Ota's body early this morning.
I see.
I'm sorry. I want to be alone right now.
Where the fuck did your kid get a taser, by the way?
Did you not hear me? I said leave!
Date, Let's go. She is in no state to talk.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I agree with the hearing, but at the same time, she's a grieving mother. She has any right to blame anyone that she wants. And eventually she'll probably wind up blaming herself for it happening. Wait. I can go to my home? I've never been to my home, so I'm going there. I'm just going the fuck home. What does my home look like? Very run down. I like it. The rent's probably pretty... I forgot that she was here. Thought that was gonna be alone. Her two best friends just got murdered. Good God. Hey, Mizuki. About Iris. About Ota. About the warehouse?
Mizuki must know. About Iris and Ota.
No shit.
Of course. The news was distributed heavily across the internet. Not just in Japan, but worldwide.
Well, yeah, one of the two was
3 days ago,
celebrity.
Mizuki discovered her mother's body. 2 days ago, her father's. This morning, 2 of her best friends. It is completely understandable that she is at her mental limit.
It's insanely heavy. At the very least, she didn't discover those two. I don't know how she's holding together with this, but I think that would have had to have broken her.
Can I be left alone for a while?
Sure.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
No shit, Date. She is not okay. Granted, I have no idea how to do anything.
See if they can get Mizuki a good counselor.
Understood.
God. Grief counseling is very important, and it's best not to skip out on it. Can we go somewhere that doesn't... Oh, we need to go to one more place that has a grieving person. Sangan residence. When I visited the Sangan household, I found Hitomi with a hollowed look in her eyes. She let me in and asked me to sit on the sofa. I agreed and sat down. But after that, I couldn't say a single word. The heavy silence weighed on us both. About your daughter.
Iris was my everything. We always went everywhere together. Whether it was buying clothes, or going to the movies, or taking a walk, or going shopping at the supermarket. When she was young, she would just hold one of my fingers. Her hand was too small to hold mine. Then it was 2, then 3. And finally she could hold my hand. But eventually, she left my hands altogether. She started crossing her arms, being independent, even though she needed constant attention growing up.
Tell me more.
Her memories are a part of this room. And always will be. When she was a baby, she fell off that sofa and cried and cried. One day she tore up her picture book all over the floor here. Another time she drew with crayons all over the window. She painted my portrait on Mother's Day. Scratches on the floor, chipped plates, burn marks on the table, stains on the cushions. Everything you see. It all holds a memory of her. But why?
That's really hard. What do you do in that scenario? It's going to be hard, if not impossible, to live here with all of the memories. But you also can't just leave this place. There's actually part of my family that struggles with that decision. They keep a place down in Florida because that's where their son died. And they also never want to visit it again. They just pay to have it upkept. Kind of as a memorial. Yeah, drink some water. Okay. About Ota.
Ota was one of my students. I taught him in elementary school. I heard it from the police. Ota tried to help Iris and ended up...
It happened a long time ago, hearing.
What to say. I have no words.
I hate to ask them for information. But I have to.
Hitomi, my entire focus is on this case. Is there anything at all you can tell me?
I don't know if this is important, but...
No, please, tell me.
I may have told you this already. I met Renju's wife Shoko twice before. The first time at the wedding, the second time a month ago. That second time was in the waiting room of the prison.
Prison?
There's an acquaintance of mine.
They call
from
from
we
the
younger.
prison.
I visit them a few times a year.
The person that claimed
By
to know.
coincidence, I saw Shoko. I don't think she noticed me, but I recognized her as Renju's wife right away. She was there for the same reason I was. To visit one of the inmates.
It's her.
Do you know who?
No, I don't. We didn't talk.
Which prison?
Fuchu Prison. In Tokyo.
Fuchu.
Prison?
This person could actually be the killer as much as...
I'm sorry to have bothered you.
I really hope that it's not.
I don't
Just that serves as a connection.
to do. Thinking about her. Dante, please, you have to catch them. Please. Please.
trust me.
You know, whenever I started this game, I had no idea that it was this heavy. Let's go to Marble.
Are you okay, honey?
Huh?
About last night. Well, at 3 in the morning, anyway.
You know about it?
It's on every channel. You have the face of a ghost. Do you want a glass?
I don't need a drink. I need information. Do you have anything?
Well, let's see. I do have... I suppose you could call it intuition.
Tell me.
The Kumakuras are involved in this case. Remember what I told you before? That there's a relationship between Ren and the Kumakuras? Shoko also has a relationship with them. You know about her dealings with the Kumakuras, right?
So basically, 2 of the victims are linked to the Kumakuras. That must mean they're involved somehow, right?
Not 2, 3.
3?
Iris?
No, not that one. The boy.
How's the boy involved?
Ota?
Yes, from Matsushita Diner. He's linked to the Kumakuras as well.
How the hell's he linked? Don't leave me hanging like that. How is he linked to them? Did that mean that you knew him before? He said that that was your first time meeting.
Have you heard the rumor?
Good point, hearing. That explains how he had the new phone. Eight years ago, I sold this land to the district for 30 billion yen. Half a year later, an explosion at a chemical plant caused the land prices to drop drastically. So I bought the land bank for 1 billion yen. Almost like he knew beforehand that the accident would happen. So... did so blow it up or conspire to blow it up? No, that wouldn't make sense. So I wouldn't gain anything from that. He would end up with 29 billion in cash and 1 billion in land. It's a net zero. Is it a net zero? Well, actually, if he's the one that blew up the chemical plant, it is a net zero. That's a good point. Oh, there's more to the story.
The Kumakuras own a handful of real estate companies. They of course look legit, but they're Yakuza fronts. I'll call those real estate companies the KE to keep it simple for you. The KE followed in So's footsteps. They bought up land in Kabusaki.
Okay.
Now, back to So. Have you heard of the plans for the casino in Kabusaki? So was the one who came up with it.
I was born and raised in Kabusaki. I remember the landscape of my childhood, and I loved it dearly.
I'm gonna punch him.
But look at Kabusaki now. When I see images of the destruction on television, my heart aches like it's being chopped to pieces.
I'm gonna crack back in half with his head.
I will revive the Kabusaki district at any cost.
Bullshit.
Casino Town Kabusaki will give new life to the city.
After that, So moved fast. He submitted the bills
So
he needed
fast
to the
you could
National
barely see
Assembly
him.
after drumming up support in the right places. The bills passed, and it became an official government initiative.
Decontamination efforts therefore increased at a rapid pace in the Kabusaki district. At the moment, the area is still considered off-limits. However, the air in Kabusaki is currently purified to such an extent that it has no negative effect on the human body.
Okay, the
If
air's
plan goes
fine. How about
smoothly,
everything
land
else?
prices in Kabusaki are going to skyrocket. And all that
Oh.
land is owned by the KE. And by So himself. The land he bought back for $1 billion will be worth 10 times that soon.
So, essentially, he drove everybody that was living on that island off and everything that was open off. So now he can just buy up however much land he wants and can pretty much control what the zoning's going to be. That is... You know, I was gonna say a genius move, but... it's... If you have that kind of power, there are better moves that you could make, I'd have to guess.
He's involved in some shady business.
This is just another rumor, but the chemical plant exploding was no accident. It was done intentionally.
By So and the Kumakuras, you mean?
But there's no hard evidence of that. It's just gossip.
That's some hell of gossip. Hello, Vacant. How are you today? I am suffering through a, very depressing game.
What were we talking about again?
Ota and the Kumakuras.
Oh, right. You know how Matsushita Diner is close to the Kabusaki district? The chemical plant explosion made times hard. Foot traffic went down, sales declined. No wonder it closed down.
Oh,
Ota must hold a
Dad's
grudge.
involved.
Someone caused that explosion. And if
That
it was
would make a
intentional,
lot of sense.
he'd hate them even more.
That's why the dad's never at
That's
the
how I
diner.
link Ota to the Kumakuras.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Where's
Thank
Ota's
you,
dad?
Mama. I don't know if what you told me will lead to anything, but...
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to waste your time.
No, it was very helpful.
I'm glad I can help, even if it's just a little.
Well then, be seeing you.
Come back anytime.
Oh, man. Cold storage warehouse it is. So Vacant, doing anything fun today? And since I don't think that you saw, 2 kids were just murdered here. Well, that's probably where Ota got stabbed. Second bloodstain. Hey, Inspector, any clues? Thank you for the follow, Vacant.
No, nothing so far.
Okay, Mr. Policeman. Have you figured anything out?
I checked this place point by point, but didn't find nothing.
Well, allow me to point you in the right direction. Over here is what you're looking for. This. And this. They very much make the place completely useless in this game.
A video camera and laptop. This is what the criminal used to stream. All of these items have been bought from pawn shops and thrift stores. It would be difficult to determine a suspect from them.
Too bad it's not in the USA. Pawn shops are actually required to keep fairly detailed listings of who bought what and who sold what to help prevent crime. You took a big sip of what? I don't know what that is. And on-call shifts are hard. Alcohol. Well, hopefully you don't get called in. That can get real rough.
This forklift is old. It does not appear to be functional. It has not been moved in some time.
Why would they just have dead equipment sitting here? Obviously, this entire place is still refrigerated. There's so little here. I mean, this isn't enough for a single huge refrigeration area. This entire place is weird.
There are only a few items on the shelf.
Is this warehouse not in use?
It has to be in use. It's being cooled. This isn't cheap.
Right here. Iris and Ota were.
I am sure you are already aware of Ota's time of death.
I didn't even know that Walmart sold Korean dumplings. That sounds pretty good.
Just before I arrived. About 3:30 in the morning.
And the cause of death.
Right, about that. Ota had a stab wound from a kitchen knife in his side.
Correct.
What was the exact cause of death? Was it the knife wound, or...?
I cannot determine that. I can conclude that the knife wound was at least close to being fatal. Even if Ota was still alive on the workbench, he was certainly on the verge of death. If he weren't already extremely weak, we would expect to see more signs of struggle.
That's fucked. What am I saying? This entire game is...
Iris's estimated time of death and cause of death have been confirmed. The video was not a recording. It was a live stream, filmed in real time.
Which means Iris's time of death is 3:20 a.m.
What else am I going to get from this? Oh, workbench. That led to the scuffle, and Ota ended up with a knife wound in his side after trying to stop the criminal. He lost all power to fight back and was forced into the costume and cut in half.
But why? Why did the culprit put the costume on Ota?
Unknown.
This entire thing is just really weird. Guessing that doesn't give me anything. Oh, it does.
Iris also had her left eye removed.
Yeah.
And like Renju and Shoko, Iris's left eyeball has not been recovered.
Got anything else on the ice cutting machine? Good. How about the workbench? Blood, floor, door.
I have
Equipment?
logged into the Wi-Fi in this warehouse.
Also, why does the
Okira
warehouse
Fishery Co.,
have
Ltd.
Wi-Fi?
is listed as the owner. However, I found the password written directly on the router. Anyone who saw it could have used it.
You could also just reboot the router and factory reset it back to its original password, provided that you have physical access to it. Not that hard.
I have done some research. As the name suggests, the company is owned by the Okiuras, the same Okiuras we know. Renju's father created the company.
Another connection to Renju.
No, actually. Currently, Okiura Fishery has nothing to do with Renju. The company has been managed by office representatives for the past 17 years after Renju's father died. Renju holds no shares and is not involved in the management. In short, Renju did not inherit the company from his father, and it was instead given to other persons.
Wonder why that is.
Coincidence.
It certainly is suspicious.
That is really weird.
Date, we should get moving. Officers from the local jurisdiction are checking the warehouse thoroughly. We will not find anything of importance here.
Yeah, you're right.
You can ask CSI to inform you if they find anything.
All right.
Hey CSI, inform me of anything. Goodbye. When I left the warehouse, I saw Pewter. What's he doing here? Hello, Graves. It's going very well. This game is, being
Dante,
very dark.
I have to talk to you about something.
Huh?
About the original Cyclops serial killings.
Oh, do I finally get
Why
to
this
know
all of a
something?
sudden?
Because I want you to solve this case, Mr. Date. I want you to find who did this and bring them to justice.
I think that's Pewter.
If I can help you, even a little.
Why didn't you say anything at Abyss?
The boss was there. I couldn't speak openly in front of her. So I decided to meet you here.
All right. Let's hear it.
Doesn't
Earlier,
Pewter just
I
look
told you
evil?
that I was completely certain the original Cyclops killer couldn't have committed these crimes. I am absolutely certain the original Cyclops killer could not have committed these crimes. Let me explain why. I'll start by telling you the identity of the Cyclops killer. Although, it's more accurate to say, killers.
More than one?
In the first series of killings, the culprit had an accomplice. One of them was born a murderous psychopath. The other is Rohan Kumakura, the previous chairman of the Kumakuras.
The guy
They
that
each had a role to play.
went
The
insane.
murderer committed the homicide, and Rohan removed the eyeball.
Why? I want to know about Rohan. Why did he remove the eyeball?
18 years ago, Rohan took a woman's eye. She was already dead. He put his finger into her eye socket and gouged it out. The reason why was simple. He was fascinated by women's eyes. Their beauty stimulated his greed and his desire to possess them. He needed to have them, to make them his own. Driven by this instinctive impulse, he took the woman's eye. From then on, he acquired a grotesque obsession with the eyes of dead women. He was very particular about his need that the eye belonged to a deceased woman. But even being the head of a Yakuza gang, there weren't too many opportunities for him to indulge. His deepest, darkest desire went unfulfilled for years. However, he soon met his ideal partner.
How were there not that many opportunities for him to indulge in it? Just get the Yakuza into, I don't know, cremation. If they're gonna be burned, then nobody's gonna know if you take the eye. There are many ways that you can get dead people's eyes if you want dead people's eyes and you have the power and money to do it. Not saying you should, but saying that there are better ideas than this.
The aforementioned psychopath. The Cyclops killer would commit the murder, and Rohan would take the eye. Thus, a mutually beneficial relationship was established. This was the origin of the Cyclops serial killings. At about the same time, you were assigned to Abyss.
You're gonna say that was me, aren't you? I get the feeling that you're gonna say it was me. Why did it get classified? You're gonna say that Boss wanted it classified, aren't you?
That, I don't know.
The details of the original Cyclops serial killings case have become nebulous over time. Even the official investigation material contains nothing of value. I am unable to draw any conclusions from them.
Well, that's not useful.
You really have no idea?
If I did, I would tell you.
Okay, am I the murderous psychopath, and whenever you installed the AI into my mind, it cured me, or whenever my left eye got ripped out, it cured me? I'm gonna be annoyed if that's
with a brain dysfunction. Due to damage to the posterior pituitary gland, he was unable to properly secrete oxytocin.
Okay.
Oxytocin is a peptide hormone linked to feelings of love, affection, and trust. It is colloquially referred to as the love hormone.
Okay.
It causes a tranquilizing effect which improves mood and relieves stress.
So we couldn't
It is normally
love
secreted
in
when
that
the body
sense.
makes contact with an object of affection, such as an embrace or caress.
I'm sure you know what this implies, but he was unable to feel love in the way that we do. However, he was able to experience a substitute.
Yeah,
His
that's
brain
kind of
was
what I was
wired
thinking.
in such a way that allowed him to feel satisfaction through other means.
What means?
Due to the unique idiosyncrasies of his brain, he was able to release large amounts of dopamine and endorphins by performing a certain action.
Murder.
What was it? Murder.
Dopamine is a hormone linked
God.
to the reward system of the brain.
There has to be a better
The
way.
pleasant feeling attained through accomplishment is dopamine.
And how the hell do you even
Endorphins
figure
are a
out
kind
in
of
the
brain
first place that
narcotic.
you release dopamine for
They
murder?
dull pain and create a feeling of happiness.
You kinda have to murder in the first place to
Pleasure
figure
from
that out.
killing people?
It's slightly more complicated than that. Killing people was the only way he could get pleasure. He was 12 when he took his first life.
Oh.
That enlightened him to the pleasure of murder, which he would do again and again.
So they know exactly who it is. How old am I in this game? There's no way that I'm young enough for that to be me. However, it's beginning to remind me a lot more of Pewter.
The original Cyclops killer had an accomplice.
There were 2 Cyclops killers.
Which is
And
kind of
one
messed
them
up.
was the former chairman of the Kumakuras, Rohan Kumakura.
Rohan committed suicide by jumping to his death 1 year ago.
That means... Pewter, tell me this. One of the original killers is dead, I know that. But that means one remains. Who is he?
After his 4th murder, he was arrested by the police. They actually picked him up on other charges. But, in any case, he is currently serving a life sentence in Fuju prison.
Oh
Fuju
god,
prison?
it's him.
Yes.
What's his name?
You know his name.
In prison, he doesn't have a name.
Number
He's simply
89.
called Number 89.
Yeah.
Number 89.
I know who killed Shoko.
So, now you know why I said that. That the original Cyclops killer couldn't have committed these crimes. Because One is dead, and the other is behind bars. Neither of them had the opportunity.
But there were more than two. Because we saw from the memory that, at the very least, she had seen what was going on. She saw the murders. Even though she's dead now, she was there whenever it happened. Or at least had access to video or something of it. So something's still not adding up. Okay, let's go back to headquarters. Going back home sucks. I would love to go to the prison. Yeah, everyone does seem to be a murder hobo here. I returned to boss's office to report. But I didn't see her anywhere. Well, that's weird.
Where did she go?
Well, she isn't always here, correct?
Yeah, she's normally here. Please tell me the boss isn't dead.
What are you doing?
I thought it would be easier to talk like this.
What do we have to talk about?
A summary of the investigation, perhaps?
What summary? We don't have anything new.
That's not true.
Huh?
I was curious, so I did some research. About number 89.
What do you have about 89? Let's see. What's the relationship between 89 and Shoko?
Unknown. I cannot determine if they have any connection. Approximately 1 month ago, Hitomi Sagan witnessed Shoko in Fuchu Prison's waiting room. I am unable to say for certain that the person she was there to visit was number 89. After all, Fuchu Prison houses 2,000 inmates.
Ah, so it's a small prison.
But number 89 knew Shoko's name.
I know who killed Shoko Nadami.
That must mean that he knew her somehow.
Not necessarily.
It is possible.
Okay, so... who is number 89?
As you know, he is an assassin with multiple confirmed kills. He is currently serving a sentence at Fuchu Prison. He was imprisoned 6 years ago.
How long
That's
of a
what
sentence?
Pewter told us.
After his fourth murder, he was arrested by the police.
I'm guessing that I could ask the prison, but they might not know? Or some kind of confidentiality? I don't know. I will just ask, the weird eyeball.
Unknown.
You don't know?
No such person is listed in the family registry. It is possible he is a foreigner, but his nationality is unknown.
Wasn't that weird?
However, I believe it is safe to say that he was born and raised in Japan.
Ugh. What about 89 and the new Cyclops serial killings?
Pewter claims that there were 2 culprits behind the original serial killings. One was the former chairman of the Kumakuras, Rohan Kumakura.
But Rohan committed suicide last year.
That leaves 1 culprit still alive, number 89.
But number 89 couldn't possibly have committed these crimes. He
and
was in
number
jail
89
when
is
each of the
also
murders
asking
occurred.
to get out of jail.
Correct. However, I do not believe it is accurate to claim that he had nothing to do with the incident.
How so?
I know who killed Shoko Nadami.
If he was telling the truth, his involvement is possible.
Well, that's fucked. Let's go to prison.
Let's talk to number 89.
I don't know if he's telling the truth or he's full of it, but he's our last remaining loose thread.
Alright. However, we need not go to him.
Really?
We can bring him to us.
That's
If
probably
we plan
not a
on
good
syncing
idea.
with him, it would be more efficient.
I don't want to
Can you
sync
arrange
with
that?
him.
I can.
Syncing with him just seems like a bad idea. So, yeah, boss is still missing. I don't like the computers here and boss isn't. Hello, number 98. Ooh.
Sorry to interrupt your busy day, but I need you to tell me something. I'd appreciate your cooperation.
What's your name?
Number 89.
Your real name?
I don't remember.
Okay. Where are you from?
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso is a republic in West Africa. Population 17 million.
Well, that's weird.
I don't have time for your jokes.
I could see South Africa, but West Africa's... Actually, I know nothing of Africa. Oh well. Do you know Shoko?
Yeah, I guess I do.
About a month ago, Shoko visited Fuchu prison. Was she there to see you?
That's right.
What did you talk about?
Nothing special.
You're in no position to lie.
I'm not lying. She didn't come to hear me talk.
Then why did she come?
To meet me.
Meet you?
She probably just wanted to see me.
That's weird. Are you the original Cyclops killer?
That's right. I was one of the culprits behind the case 6 years ago. One of the 2 Cyclops killers.
Well, he got that right, so I'm guessing it's probably true, or somewhere around true. When did you first meet Shoko?
A long time ago. I don't remember exactly when.
What's your relationship to her?
A physical one. I'm kidding, she was just a business partner.
Business partner? Well, that's weird. Yeah, I normally love Smugluck's hearing, but his is ungodly. I mean, that is a hell of a Smugluck. And I already know his answer to this. His answer is gonna be, are you gonna set me free?
Alright, let's get right down to it. 2 days ago, you called Investigation HQ and said, I know who killed Shoko Nadami.
That's right.
Who?
Hey, don't be so hasty. We haven't agreed on a deal. You're gonna let me out of prison, right?
It's done. You've got a deal.
Police are allowed to lie on
But
to you.
to explain it properly, I need to tell you a story. It might take some time. Is that alright with you?
I've got nothing but time.
Then let's get started. The story of a lonely assassin.
Yeah, honestly, interesting. Even if it ends with being a big-ass joke.
Once upon a time, there was a detective, full of righteous justice. Let's call him F. F found the evils of the world intolerable. F had no parents, no siblings, and grew up in an orphanage since he was born. He suffered every kind of abuse imaginable there.
Press
It
F
led him
for
to despise all the evils of the world. One day, F was chasing a thug down at the harbor. Someone wanted for the assault and murder of women.
Okay, I get it. I'll just throw down my knife. Here.
Oh.
You lower your gun.
No, that doesn't make sense. I was gonna say, is that how he figured out they like killing, but that doesn't make sense with how old he would have had to
I have a
been.
history with hospitals. I've been going to a special hospital for a while. Even if I get caught, it's all good. I'll come right back out again. What should I do next time? Just thinking about it gets me excited.
The culprit was unarmed, but F never served a day in prison. The case went to trial for some time, but it was determined to be self-defense, and he was declared innocent. If the truth got out, it would be a huge scandal for the police.
Would it be?
People at the upper level were terrified of what might happen.
That
so
kind of happens all the time.
F wasn't suspended or disciplined at all.
Once again,
After
happens a
while,
lot.
He returned to his job like nothing happened.
Yeah, sounds fairly normal.
That was a turning point for him. He was ready to shed the morality that was weighing him down, holding him back. F still wanted justice, and he was willing to dispense it to the immoral one by one. He became an assassin, a lone gunman, no agent, no employer. He was his own man. F believed that he was judge, jury, and executioner. But it didn't last
you're
long.
not F.
One day, F got rid of a
Oh
criminal.
god, I'm F, aren't I?
X was responsible for defrauding and killing an innocent old man for his life insurance policy. Turns out, X had connections. Someone wasn't happy that he died. Rohan Kumakura, chairman of the Kumakuras. X was a top executive of the Kumakuras at the time. Rohan ordered his men to find and kidnap F.
And he took F's eye.
I've done some research. I know you've cleaned up at least 18 pieces of scum from this earth. But somehow there hasn't been a single criminal investigation. They're all treated as suicides, accidents, or natural causes. Amazing work. I'm impressed. How about you work for us? Of course, you have the right to say no. But it'll be the last word out of your mouth.
I'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
F was trapped. Even if he somehow survived, he would be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life.
Not if he couldn't remember it.
But to take Rohan's offer. Thus, F's self-employment came to an end. He became a hired gun of the Kumakuras. Rohan even gave him a code name, Falco, named for the falcon, a bird of prey.
Falco Punch.
Falco didn't quit his job as a police officer, though. He worked as a detective by day, assassin by night at the will of the organization. An ordinary killer would need motive to take a life, but not Falco. He did as he was told, one target after another. It didn't take long to destroy his heart completely. Time passed, and a few years back, Falco, who by this time was exhausted in body and spirit, made a fatal mistake. He missed his mark and ended up taking a bullet to the stomach. Somehow he managed to escape. After reaching a nearby shrine, his legs finally gave out under him. He had no strength left. He put his back up against the shrine and let out a moaning breath that he thought might be his last. But at that moment, in his darkening vision, he saw a woman approach him. He watched her take out her phone and dial for help. At the same time, he heard footsteps. Footsteps of at least 2 people closing in. He knew immediately that they were after him. He sprung into action, grabbing the woman and pulling her close, kissing her to keep her from talking. That was the first encounter between Falco and the woman. She was a teacher at some school.
Oh,
it was like she
God.
was from a totally different world than him.
It's her.
Listening to her talk, he would forget everything about his line of work. She was his only
pop
contact
star's
with
mom.
the ordinary, mundane world. They met in secret a few more times, and Falco felt his heart grow warmer. Her smile and kindness were like a cold glass of water for Falco's parched heart. Falco started to become himself again, his former self. He swore on his life that from then on, he would live for her.
So, you want to go clean? Fine. Do as you please. You've done a lot for us. But there is one last thing.
You don't just leave the Yakuza.
One final job I want you to do for me.
There is no final
It's
job.
nothing major. This woman and her daughter. I need you to dispose of them.
Oh, God.
Should be simple, no?
Rohan handed Falco a picture of a woman and a girl. It was the teacher Falco met at the shrine. And her daughter. She had just turned 12. Why the two of them? Rohan, as usual, never gave a reason. And Falco had no intention of carrying out the kill. But if he didn't, he knew that someone else would. He thought long and hard. How was he going to keep them safe and get out of the life of crime? He couldn't find an answer, no matter how hard he thought. He was backed into a corner. So, he decided to call on an old friend for help. And then...
Silence. For some reason, he wouldn't open his mouth again. I want to talk to the asshole. Nope. I cannot talk to the asshole. Camera, what's up with you? Fine. I will talk to the smug. What's the connection between that and Shoko?
What's the connection between that and Shoko?
Okay, you mentioned a detective.
You mentioned a detective.
What's the whole story?
Was that the whole story?
I'm just gonna look at you. Why just stop?
Why did you stop?
Honestly, there's no point in it, but you'll answer me at 'em.
Hey, answer me.
This is a transaction, remember? Until I get a guarantee that you'll uphold your end of the bargain, I'm not telling you anything else. I'll give you half up front, half later. If you want to hear the rest of my story, you better start the release procedures. Once they've cleared, I'll tell you everything.
Yeah, not worth it.
Date, it is unlikely that number 89 will uphold his promise, even upon release.
Yeah.
Pewter.
Yes?
Start the preparations.
For what?
Oh yeah,
What do you
89
think?
wouldn't know.
The sink.
I have injected number 89 with the usual dosage. He will not be waking up anytime soon. Are you ready, Agent Date?
Yeah,
The time limit is 6 minutes.
I know.
Then let's begin.
Yeah, there's no way that this should be legal. But, I guess it technically is? Maybe?
Sup?
No, not sup. Why are you sleeping on the job?
Because I want to, obviously.
Why are you getting mad at me?
Yeah, this rug feels so good on my skin, yeah.
Why are you suddenly a cat?
Playtime's over.
What?
Let's begin.
Stand up.
Are you drunk?
Is this the Sagan residence?
It definitely is. But why?
Number 89. What were you up to? What? The green. I do not think I can pass through it.
Really wants to hide it, huh? Okay, new plan.
Somnium stand. Activate.
Okay. Now time to get serious. What can I do in 6 minutes? Okay, mental lock number 1's the phone. Mental lock number 2 is probably barrier. 3 is window. 4 is door. Yeah, talk about advanced interrogation.
This appears to correspond to the green thing.
Okay. Can I save? Oh, there are objectives. I didn't even know that. That's actually really useful. Okay, so I've got Switch, Winter Iris, and Phone. I'm gonna go with Winter Iris first.
That blooms
I know.
So... I'm gonna smell the Winter Iris.
It smells like a typical winter iris.
What does a typical iris smell like?
Elegant and gentle.
Can't you just tell me what it smells like?
I had to search online for a description, but could not find one.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
I forgot that she can't smell.
A winter...
Okay, I don't want to spend that much time, so I'll use a 5th and pick it.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Stop it! You're distracting me! I got one! Aw, right after I pulled it out, too.
Did the green stuff react at all?
Oh, we got a phone call.
Should I pick it up?
Hang up.
What the?
Oh. It didn't like that, I don't think.
I fainted.
It very much seemed to not like being hung up. Well, I guess we're gonna spend 60 seconds ignoring it. Fun.
It won't stop ringing.
You don't have to stand right next to it.
It stopped. What was that?
I don't know.
Well, that's weird. Okay, so ignoring the phone was the right decision.
It worked?
Okay. Oh, wrong thing. Liquid, ceiling fan, or book. I want to look at that ceiling fan, because it's not something I would have noticed.
Is that like a giant desk fan?
A desk fan only moves the air immediately around it, whereas a ceiling fan circulates air in an entire room.
Oh, right.
Why didn't Date know that? Weird. Yeah, let's see. Honestly, holding on to it sounds fun. Strong ceiling fan. That looks very fun though. I get the feeling that involves the ceiling fan.
It's a ceiling fan.
Yeah, let's see. What makes some sense? Blowing on it would make some sense because it would speed it up or slow it down, I think.
Blow on it? Ah.
Oh, it reversed it. Interesting. Well, the ceiling fan is stopped. Okay. Look how good reading material you got. Read it.
F does not have parents or siblings. He was raised in an orphanage.
So it's literally a story that he's telling us, not reality. That makes a lot of sense. So, let's pick up his story and tear it up. Unfortunately, that's probably gonna get me something bad. But, oh well. Tear it up.
Are you sure this will help us uncover number 89's secrets?
Yeah, I think so.
We're getting closer.
Agent
It's ringing again.
4 minutes.
What should I do?
I'm gonna spend a third time and pick it up.
Alright. Who is this? What the?
Wrong answer. Oh, good God. Well, hanging up is economically maybe the best thing that I can do. But I think I have to ignore it, so I'm gonna deal with that. I just cannot catch a break. Wouldn't surprise me at all if I lost this one.
It stopped. Aren't you curious who was calling?
The Void's calling. It will not give a fuck out.
Money.
You're a police officer. Have some backbone.
Okay.
I suppose we didn't do anything wrong.
At least you didn't faint.
That is a lot of time lost.
You have less than 2 minutes. Hurry.
Oh God. Something's in the kitchen. Yeah, pot. What's
It's
the
a
pot?
Steam is rising from it. It appears to be some kind of green curry.
Maybe a soybean stew?
It might also be boiled green juice.
Yeah, like a slime.
A turtle
That
ninja
is
could leap out at
disgusting.
any moment.
Honestly? Let's see. Drink it. Thank God that this thing stopped me. Drink it.
What is this anyway?
You can tell by tasting it.
I would like to know before I put it in my mouth.
It's green, right?
Don't say such things! I'm the one who has to drink it. Fine. I'll have a sip.
Just knocks me the fuck out. That's a hell of a sip.
Iba? Hey, Iba! Iba!
Thank you for the delicious soup.
What kind of soup was it?
Elephant.
What did you say?
Elephant.
My... Holy shit, that was triple time. That is not good. So pretty much anything that I do is going to, destroy me. My guess is that this is a... I have to tear it
Here I go.
to have any hope to be able to move forward.
What happened?
Nothing.
Nothing happened because you probably have to do both.
A book.
So I'm gonna need to use as little time as possible and tear it.
I wonder what these books symbolize.
His
I don't know.
lies.
Maybe he used to oversee a library?
Number 89.
Nobody tell Tom
a
that I'm ripping
librarian.
books.
Date! 30 seconds!
What is that?
Oh no, Tom's found out that I was ripping books and he's on his way.
It's an eye.
Date, what are we going to do?
Tom, why do you have red eyes? Ooh, do I have lemon juice? 18 seconds. That's a lot, but I want to pour lemon juice.
Lemon? Lemon, lemon. Where are you, lemon?
You usually get a lemon with an order of karage, right?
No lemon.
Before we think about squeezing some on there, shouldn't we take a bite first?
Oh, if only I had a lemon. If only I had a lemon. Ah! I passed out.
Oh, we also could have ordered a lemon sour. That would have worked.
Why wouldn't I order something else entirely?
Oh, that works too.
Date, there's no time.
I need to get up and check
This
on
isn't good.
something. Okay, my door is locked. I don't know where that noise came. Okay, I'm gonna retry that. Honestly, I'm probably a lot better off going back to lock 1. Yeah. Okay, so where am I exactly? Mental lock 2, so I'm going to grab this book, rip it in half.
Yeah! Are you sure this will help us uncover?
It might.
Okay. That took the 6 seconds. Cool. And I will take the ceiling fan.
Is that like a giant...
A desk fan only moves the air immediately around it.
Oh.
And I will use my half time to blow on it.
Blow on it?
Okay, that should retract the green goo.
Oh.
This time I won't mess with the soup. Although I might actually need to do something with the soup. I don't know. Okay, and this time... ignore it and hopefully... Let's see. I'll use a 5th time and ignore it. Hopefully I actually did use that. Wouldn't be the first time that I've just messed up and used full time.
It stopped. Aren't you curious who was calling?
Very curious.
I am curious, but what if
at the same
You're
time,
a police
we have
officer.
bigger problems.
Have some backbone.
Okay.
I suppose we didn't do anything wrong.
At least you didn't faint.
So, now...
Agent Date, you've got 4 minutes.
Yay, 4 minutes.
A book.
Let's take that book. And for a 3rd time, rip it in half.
I wonder what these...
I don't know. Maybe
We're
he
just
used to oversee a
destroying his
library?
fake
Number
story.
89.
Okay. Beep bada boop.
A book.
Got a book. Let's debook that book.
Here I go. What happened?
Nothing.
Okay. So I've gotten closer, but this time I didn't have anything happen, so I'm guessing I need to mess with the pot. And preferably,
It's
this
a
time
pot.
I won't
It appears
drink
to be
it.
some kind of green curry.
Maybe a soybean stew?
It might also be boiled green juice.
Yeah, like a slime.
A turtle ninja could leap out at any moment.
Okay. I'll use half time and... I'll heat it.
It doesn't turn on. Is it broken?
See the phone over there? Call the manufacturer.
Oh.
Okay. Do you think they make dream house calls?
I do not.
I love that too, hearing. It's very satisfying. Okay, apparently that wasn't the correct answer, unfortunate. So, let's use 1/2, and I don't want to smell it, and I also don't want to drink it, so let's wear it.
What?
I told you to wear it.
Wear it? Alright, here I go.
I love it.
Are you
And we got
okay?
rid of the soup.
I am fine, actually. In fact, I feel as though my defense has risen.
Your defense
little
is
worried about your
impenetrable.
Why? My head is thoroughly protected.
I want to hit
You
it.
have 3 minutes, Date.
Okay, so, what did I do last time that I haven't done this time? Liquid or pitcher? Wait, prevent view from that. I don't know. I think the pitcher, probably. Maybe? I hope. Okay, picture.
A picture.
Just a picture.
Worth 1,000 words. Let's see, I'm gonna fill it out.
I don't have a pen. No choice. I must
You
use
have
my
blood?
You don't have to go that far.
You have soup. Oh. She does
Color
have
has
blood.
Hey, Iba?
I said blood, but it is not the same as human blood. No need to worry.
Oh,
And
okay.
besides, we are in a dream.
Still blood? I'd feel better if you used a different word.
For example?
Oil.
Body fluids?
I do not feel comfortable with that.
I gotta agree with Iba. Oh, what do you know? Got him.
What is that?
I don't know how this is different than last time, though. Maybe because I drank it last time.
It's an eye.
Date, what are we going to do?
You can't see me, I have a pot. Well, I know that lemon juice is a terrible idea. Ignoring it's probably not a good idea either. I'll use my half and close the curtain. It's probably not gonna work though. I don't want to see you. Is it gonna rip the roof off? No, it just left. What do you know? I guess the easiest option was the best option.
That eye.
Do you know something about it?
Yes. It was kinda cute.
You are insane.
Oh, we got a person.
What? That's...
Hitomi?
Prevent the invasion of unknown. Not... Oh wait, it's X. Okay, so there's another book. And there... Okay, so there are 2 more books. There's a skull and there's Hitomi. I'm gonna go through and rip both of those books in half.
A book?
Let's utilize my half time and tear it in half. Hey, Hearing, you got another rip in half and you're about to get
We're
another.
driving number 89 into a corner.
By tearing a book.
By tearing up his fake story.
Yeah. I remember how shocked I felt when Mizuki tore up one of the porno mags I was hiding.
What the fuck? Date. What the fuck?
That situation was clearly different.
You have less than 2 minutes. Hurry!
A book.
Please don't tell Pramby either. I think the both of them would be upset. Thinking
Green book.
I did tell Tom that I had burnt books before and he said that he had as well. So,
guess it's nothing.
Actually, I just remembered part of my old job working at a thrift store was to rip up books. Anything that couldn't sell, we ripped up and recycled. Let's see. I've got Skull and Hitomi, but the skull was kinda here last time. Exactly the same. Too bad I can't punch it this time. I wonder if it can talk. Halftime talk.
Hello
Just
there.
pick it up and move its jaw.
What happened to your body? Are you comfortable being all bones? Oh, I see. You were thin anyway.
That's quite humorous.
Say something! I don't want to be the only one talking. I sound like a crazy person.
I love that
Now
she still
you're
has the
upsetting
pot.
me. Prepare yourself for a comeuppance.
Humanity finally develops artificial intelligence, and this is the result.
Date, I will unleash a furious punch onto an object.
Never heard anyone say that before.
Punch it.
A skull.
It really does mess up the camera. What do you think? Should I throw it, kiss it, or check it? I personally think I should vibe check into the next room. Okay, we're going with kiss.
I must be malfunctioning. You want me to do what?
Just give it a little kissy.
I am seriously getting tired of your bone fetish. No reaction.
Oh, but that was exciting.
I do not need your report, thank you.
Oh, damn. I'm gonna leave behind this and check out what happens with her.
It's Hitomi.
You know?
What?
Kiss
Why
her.
did I use that 20? Aww.
Like this? But why?
You are like one of my limbs, Isla.
Yes.
Like an alter ego. An incarnation of me to kiss Hitomi.
Yes.
Then it's like me kissing Hitomi, right?
No.
You sure? Because that was making my heart rate rise. And another part of me, too.
Oh,
Could it
God.
just be only your heart, please?
Okay, well, that was the thing.
Less than 1 minute.
It's Hitomi.
You know what? Hug her.
Well, I suppose I will try it.
Dante's gonna be...
Yeah, me too.
Oh, God.
Sorry, nothing.
All that I accomplished was making Dante hard.
It's Hitomi.
Oh, God, what will touching her do? But at this point, I have to know, how hard will Dante be?
Where?
Well, maybe her...
Yep. Yeah, Dante?
Her stomach, right?
Yeah. It's not like I'm touching her.
She's extremely hard. Perhaps due to her being stationary?
What did you say?
That she is stationary?
No, before that.
She's hard?
Hitomi is hard right now? Got it. That's useful information. Let's keep that in mind.
Well? Yeah,
Wait,
yep.
I forgot. What's Hitomi's condition right now? I totally lost it.
Could you stop messing around? Or would you like me to crush you with this vice?
He would like being
Hey,
viced.
relax, I was kidding!
Oh, God. Hey,
It's
I got
Hitomi.
more questions for you. Actually, that 1 second thing's really useful, so, 10, talk to her.
Understood. Hey! Hitomi! Hitomi! No use.
Could you try it again, but more in a fawning way?
I believe we should try something else.
But...
Wow.
Fawning?
Let it go.
Honestly, fawning is nice, but, this is creepy as fuck. Okay, so she's nothing. I assume it's the skull, then?
A skull. I do not see the body.
Well, I'm gonna throw it first. Yeet.
Would that not be disrespectful to the dead?
Who gives a shit about the dream dead?
Calcium.
All right. Sorry about this.
Whose skull was this?
Quanti.
Unknown. I also cannot determine the connection to number 89.
Oh god, it doubled.
Date! 30 seconds!
Huh. What is there left? So, there's the liquid and there's the switch. And I don't have much time. I'm leaning towards the switch. What do you think? Well, actually, it's prevent the invasion of something, so maybe the liquid. I guess I'm gonna go for the liquid. Hey, liquid.
There is some kind of liquid pooled on the floor.
The only thing that leaves me with any time left is to jump in.
Jump in, you say?
Jump in, Iba!
You do not have to shout.
Yee. She does not look pleased.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know why I listen to you.
Okay.
Dante,
Well,
you're out of time.
There is some kind of liquid pooled on the floor.
I get one more shot. One second. What do you think? Should I smell it, lick it, or stick my hand in it? Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It is surprisingly deep.
Did you find anything?
Well... Oh! There is something!
Cork.
Oh, it's draining away.
What is this substance?
That's weird as fuck.
It's obviously not green tea.
Perhaps it's jelly.
It's not jelly.
What?
Who is that?
What do I do?
Lock it. Have a nice lurk, Vacant.
No! Stop!
Stop right there!
Did I actually win with that little time left? That is awesome. 001. Oh. Once I get this part of the story done, I'm
a serious matter.
probably
Where's
going
Boss?
to stop for the night.
Boss, where is she?
I don't know. I haven't seen her since about noon.
Damn it.
Date, listen. Something happened while you were in Somnium.
Huh?
Please stay calm and listen. So Sejima's body was discovered. He was cut into pieces and put inside a vase in his mansion.
That can't be.
Who?
The housekeeper
It's
found
him.
him and reported it to the police. And one more thing. So was missing his left eye.
You mean the Cyclops killer did it?
Probably, yes.
What is your next move, Dante?
We'll deal with So later. Before that, I need to talk to Boss.
I suggest checking her office.
Good idea.
Iris... No, I don't think... No, her mom's alive. Actually, that's a good point.
Not here. Where is she?
I don't know what the fuck happened then.
What the hell is going on? What is going on?
Because this actually doesn't even line up with what I saw in my first dream.
To protect number 89? Boss. Why was Boss there? Because it was a dream?
She does look dead, but
random?
we've seen her.
No, that can't be. You can't dream of a face you've never seen. Number 89 must know Boss somehow.
This thing just opened up a, lot of questions now, didn't it? But, unfortunately, I'm actually getting fairly tired. So I think I'm going to leave it here. I am sorry for the torture. Okay. Somnium Files 3. Yes. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, Hearing. I'm just gonna rest and watch other streams. I do not have the energy to stream for 3 hours. I think that that's the right command. I could be wrong. Oh, I am wrong. I used backslash instead of regular slash. I think I'll try and stream tomorrow. The reason why I haven't been streaming for the past couple of days is there's been construction going on outside of my house. So, we'll see. Overall, have a wonderful day. Or night. And thank you for coming. Bye.